this time I'm going to do butterfly, and this is one that I'd made some time ago. I'm not going to do the body coloured like this, because when I did this, I did it in plain white and then painted it, which is a bit of a dicey job to do, because it can go very streaky if you don't get your paint thick enough when you're mixing your powder colours with your isopropyl. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do like I've done here. I've already made one. I'm going to make the body separately in brown flour paste here, and I've used dark brown from Sugar Flare to get this colour. You need to put quite a lot in to get it as dark as this, so that's the only problem. So you might find it a little bit soft. This I actually made yesterday when I made my bits and pieces ready to go, so this has been sat overnight, and it's a little bit better to work with now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start off. We need a very thin wire, which I've got here. This is this one here, which is it's either a 30 or a 32. Either will do, because you don't really need any strength with this. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put a 20 gauge wire here through the middle, which is what we use for things like carnations and roses, where it's all done on one stem, or when you're going to strengthen a stem. So I'm going to start off by putting a little hook on the top of this, like that, like you would if you were making the centre for a rose. I'm just going to put that to one side for a minute, and then we'll start off with the parts of the butterfly. Now if you start off with the middle of your body and work your sizes from there, so you need one that's a bit smaller than that for the head. It's probably a little bit too small, we'll just make it slightly bigger than that. The body's in three parts. You've got the head, the middle, and then the back part. It's a bit big, take a little bit more off of that. We get there in the end. You just all trial and error with these sort of things. Right, so that's those two parts. Then you want a bigger piece then for the back part. A little bit bigger than that. There we are. And then what you're going to do then is, you're going to roll this into a long cone. So it needs to be quite pointed on the end, but keep the thickness at the back there. I'll just put this light on, then you can see that a bit better. Might help if I plug that in. Just bear with me a second while I find where my plug is. And I'm throwing things all over the place here. I was having a tidy up yesterday, so I haven't put everything back where it should have gone. So there you've got your three parts of the body. And then what you do then is, you measure your wire. If you put them all together in a line, measure your wire so you've got a little bit for the tongue hanging out of the end, and then don't go quite to the back. So I'm going to put that about there. Because you want this to go all the way through this wire, the body rather. So I'm going to make a tiny little bit of a hook on the end of there. So if you start with your head, pop that into there like that. Bring the tongue right up to the edge. And then what I'm going to do then is, if you get your glue and put either glue on the back of the head or on the body, whichever you prefer, then put that through the centre part, bring that up to the head like that, and then this one we're going to put the glue on the end here of the back part of the body, and then try not to squash the pieces of your body when you're doing this. Then pop that into the centre of there, like that. Now it's come out a bit at the head here, so I'm just going to put it in again. That's it. Reshape the head a bit. There we are. So we've got the body, the tongue, and then you've got the middle of your body there. So what I'm going to do now is, this is where you need to guess a little bit, so be careful when you're putting your wire in. The wire that I put the hook on, I'm going to put that through the centre. Now make sure that the hook is facing, so it's going to go across the wire that you've just put through, so you want to be slightly to one side of it. I just felt it a little bit there, so you just wiggle it about through and then pull that down into the middle part of the body. So that's going to hook onto the wire that you've already put in, and then just smooth the top part of the body over. Now you might say, to avoid this, why didn't you do it the other way? But because the wire would be the wrong way up if I did it that way. So just play about with the top of your body just to smooth that. Then that you can either put that to one side at this stage, depending on how far you want to go, or you can use some stamens, the very fine stamens. You get one stamen out of that bunch, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be careful, keep hold of it when you do this, because otherwise they fly. Just cut one end off like that. Didn't quite go through it there. And then cut off the other end. You only want probably about half an inch. So that's the two pieces there. That one's a little bit longer, so we'll just take a little bit off the end of that because I bent it, which is going to make it difficult to go into the head. And then there you go. Look at where your tongue is, and then you want one either side. Just push it into your paste like that. Where's the other one gone? There. Unfortunately on the board, because they're white, they're very difficult to see, so you either need good eyesight or strong glasses, or even maybe a magnifying glass if you're doing something like this, because they are quite tiny. Put that in like that, and what I'll do is I'll colour those later. Right, so put that to one side to dry. So then you've got your dry body already with the stamens already in the top. Right, now then on to the butterfly itself. Now there's various different kinds of butterflies that you can do. You can either do like that one where the wings are separately wired, or you can do the patchwork cutter butterflies, which I've got one here. If you're good at painting, these are good because all the details in them, so you can fill all that in. I have got some of those that I made yesterday that are already dried. Let me get hold of one. Like that. And what I've done is I've dried them over the edge of a piece of foam, so you've got your top wing on the top that way and the other wing down the side, and then you've got your shape there. These are ideal if you want to put a lot of butterflies on a cake and you want them to be edible, so you don't have to worry about people eating them then. So first of all, bit of fat on your board, same as you would with you doing petals. This is the same technique as if you're doing petals. Just put that brown paste to one side, and then get your rolling pin. These cutters, by the way, these are from Gem. They're not this colour now, they're actually a plain creamy colour now, which is a bit of a mistake because these were better with being see-through, because you could see where you were cutting out. This one had actually broken in the packet, so I've left it like that because it does make it easier for cutting your parts out. But with both of the back wings and the front wings, you do get a left and a right with them. So make sure that when you're cutting them out, that you cut out one of each to make sure that you've got a left and a right. So I'm just going to do my usual thing with my groove rolling pin. I don't know about anybody watching in other countries where they can get hold of these, but this is something that is, as far as I'm aware, British made. You might be able to get it from Sugarcraft shows or anything, but I've been using these for donkey's years. Right, now then, so here I've got one side of the wing, so I'm going to cut out one wing. So you place it so that your groove is through the top of the wing and the bottom. I'm just holding this bit up because we're going to cut that out. Press down firmly and then go to the other side and do the other half of the wing like that. I have gone slightly offside there, but never mind. I'm not actually using this one. And then go to your other side now and cut out one of the larger wings. Missed a bit there. Just didn't get that right in the right groove. Got it. And then the other side. Like that. Take your paste away. Now then, the wires that I'm going to use for the wings are the same as I would for petals. I always use, unless it's a big flower, I use a 26 gauge white wire for doing anything like this. And when I'm doing butterflies, I do prefer to do them in white for the simple reason that then you can colour it whatever colour you want it then. And I quite like to colour the wings, the base colour, in a lustre colour, because the wings are quite shiny on butterflies. They do have that sort of translucent look about them, and the way that you can do that is by dusting it, cutting this into 4. Doesn't matter if they're not exactly the same. Before anybody says anything, they're not exactly the same, but that's going to be wired onto the 20 gauge wire for the central part, and then I'm going to use the longer wire for the larger wings and then the shorter ones for the so into the bottom and then up your wing, the same as you would if you were doing a leaf or a wired petal, as far up as you can, so that if you do break anything off, then it's a lot easier to repair it. I've missed the groove there, so I'm going to try and get it in without using the groove, which I can sometimes if the paste isn't too thin, although this is quite thin, but there we have managed that. But this is just to show you, because I've already got some wings made, so we're not using this one anyway. Up the centre, same with the smaller wings. As I said before, I apologise if I go off camera, because I'm doing it myself. I don't have a camera person, and sometimes I do have a habit of going off shot. It's very difficult to watch what I'm doing and to watch the screen and talk to you at the same time. Right, so turn the wing over, and then with this silk veining tool, if you lay it in the centre of your wing and then just roll outwards in a fan-like motion, just to get a little bit of detailing. We're not getting the detailing that you get in on things like the patchwork cutters, but you are getting a texture in that tends to make them look a lot better rather than just doing them flat. Roll out and roll out. Doesn't matter if you get a little bit of shape into the wings, it just adds to the interest. I've gone through the wire a little bit on that one. There we are. So they're going to go on to a flat piece of foam. The foam that I've showed you in previous videos, the bobble foam, by the way, if anybody wants to get hold of any, because you can buy bobble foam from Sugarcraft suppliers. The only trouble is that they sell the white foam, which is more expensive. The foam that I use is actually acoustic foam, and you can buy the tiles that they use on the walls in studios and things like that, and it's really good because it does the same job. It doesn't matter that it's not the same colour. In fact, in a lot of cases it's probably better, because when you're doing things like white petals and even small things and that, they show up a lot better on there, so you can see what you've made. Right, so those are the pieces that I've already dried. So you've got your 4 wings and you've got your body, and then I've got some of these butterflies that I've already made. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop, because I've only got 10 minutes left on this video, because it only does just short of 30 minutes. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to colour them and assemble them, so that you can watch the full process all the way through. So back in a mo.